little duck right here I made a while back. What I like to do when I get clay is I like to take a little bit of clay and basically see exactly how it's going to dry first before I use it. And my favorite thing to do is ducks, because that one blip of time when I was a coder, they told me that using test ducks is how they basically are like talking to themselves in a sense, but it's like something you can bounce ideas off of without actually having to have a response. So, because I'm also obsessed with rubber duckies, and that's what they use in coding, I was like, you know what? When I test things, I'm just going to make a duck. So this duck is made with paper clay, and I painted him, and I made his cute little face, and I did all sorts of stuff. But what I really want to do, because he's so successful, is I want to take him and make more of him using resin. But I don't know, because of the way he's made, whether or not it will work with my silicone putty, or if he will turn around and stick. And because I'm not going to mold it in one piece, because I could always buy the other stuff that makes it easier, why not just use the tools you already have? Well, because that's what I do all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the resin. Oh, no, that is wrong. I'm going to mix the putty, even though it says let's resin. I'm going to mix the putty together and make a mold and let it harden for 20 minutes. And then what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to make another side and harden that for 20 minutes. And then we're going to tape it together and we're going to see if we can't get it to stay together long enough where it will end up being a cool little situation where I can just pour resin into it, let it harden if I tape it together, and then be able to, oh my gosh, just making a mess. This is also another thing I'd like to do, is make a lot of mess. Be able to glue them together, tape them together. I don't know, we'll figure it out. And then pour the resin in there, and then it'll be good. And then what we'll get to do is hopefully, is that the same size? No. Hopefully we'll get this really cool mold together, and we will get to have a resin duck, which will be awesome because he came out so perfect when I tested the clay, and he's so lightweight and adorable. Why not make more than one of him without using clay and just do a mold instead? So we're going to mix this together. We're going to stick him on his side. And actually, I just realized I made more than enough. Well, that's a bummer, because this will probably harden before that piece does. Well, I guess we'll find out. Trouble. Okay. Put that over the ducky. Just like that. Now, we should probably test to see if it's going to stick on him or not, huh? Well, we would, but if we didn't put it on the mat first, yeah, well, this is why we fail. How else will we succeed if we don't fail first? Look at what I did. Oh well, that's why we're here. Successes and failures, successes and failures. Never know what's going to happen. Okay, we're just going to move on from that, and we're going to stick Ducky in here. Wrap it around him. Just like this. Nice and snug. Nice and snug. See if that's going to work. Let it sit for 20 minutes and find out.
20 minutes later.
Okay, so I pivoted. This is mostly my life. I always pivot. I show one thing and then I'm like, oh, you know what? It'd be great. Let's just add to it and not have it documented. It's fine. Okay, so the straw is for the hole to pour the resin. It's been hardened. We're going to pull the straw out. We're going to open it up. I see Ducky's face. I don't know if you guys can see Ducky's face. Let's see. Can you see Ducky's face? No, it's going to get blurry. It's going to get blurry. It'll be fine. Okay, I see Ducky. He's there. Now, because Danielle is a genius, and she thought, hey, you know what would be a great idea because we're worried about the other part of the resin drying? Let's stick it in a dome, even though we know for a fact that this will probably not work. There is slightly a seam here. However, it was still wet when I did it. So I am going to have to get something to cut this open with, maybe. Oh, it's ripping. It's ripping. It's ripping. We can just get it to rip just enough to get Ducky out of there. See his little beak? Oh, there we go. We're just gonna pull Ducky right out of that little spot. Bloop, 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 bloop. Boom. And inside doesn't really look like a lot, but if we tape this back together and then we pour into that little hole that you also cannot see because the camera does not want to be my friend, there's a hole in there. I promise, trust me, there's a hole. So we're gonna tape this up and we're going to pour resin into it, and we're gonna see if we can't get it to make a mold, because, you know, like I said, why do things the easy way when we could totally just use the materials we have? We're just trying to make a mold of this duck's face and whole body because he's so cute. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get some tape. We're gonna tape that up, and then we're going to pour into it because it just looks like this weird shell. Hopefully, I can get it to work the way I want to. If not, this is why we test it, and we will find out. Okay. The next thing I forgot to do was grab the tape. So I had to run away and come back. All right, we're gonna use painter's tape. And ripping noise in the background. Okay. See if we can't tape this up nice and tight. Why would painter's tape work on putty? I have no idea. I don't think it's gonna work. But that's the fun of the experiment in the first place, is trying things you don't know if they're gonna succeed. If they do, great. If they don't, then now you know. And why is my camera being a jerk? Because there's too many things going on. We don't know where to focus. All right. Did I tape it? Not really. I'll just do another layer. It'll be fine. Just make it work. Just gonna take it and we're gonna tape it some more. Sorry, I also just sing to myself when I'm trying to get stuff to be accomplished correctly. So, quirkiness of my life, it'll be fine. I'm just gonna continue to tape that really good. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Seems to be holding a little bit. Do a little bit more at the corner, right at the front. Then we're gonna get our resin out. Now, I've gone through a really big resin phase, and I say resin phase because like I've kind of just had like this really big obsession with resin lately. So because of the big obsession that I've had, and then I've had some friends ask me to make some things for them, coat it in resin for them, I bought the big tubs, the big guys. So obviously we have B and we have A. We all know what we gotta do. First, we gotta move the putty out of the way. Bye-bye. Okay. Then we're gonna pump some B into the bowl. Just a little. We're gonna pump some A into the other bowl. Just a little. Okay. Make sure it's the right amount. A little bit more. A little bit more. Okay, cool. So now we're gonna take our stick and we're going to pour A into B. Bloop, 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 bloop. My cat's being dramatic, so if you hear him in the background, that's just because he's always that way. When he doesn't get his way, I've taken him out of this room, but he can still make plenty of noise. And we're going to stir. Now, the reason I'm using this bowl and not something else is because it's got a cute little point on it. And like I said, you guys couldn't see the hole, but that cute little point is gonna really help us pour this in there. The only thing is that I didn't color it because I don't know if it's gonna work. What I really wanna do is make a really fun rainbowy type ducky, but I'd rather test it with clear resin first than waste materials on really bougie fun things. So we're just gonna mix this for a few minutes more. Then we're going to pour. I know, kind of weird and annoying, but it's fine. I've accepted my weirdness of singing constantly to amuse myself. All right, so like I said, you can't really see the hole. There's a tiny little hole there. I'm just gonna tinily pour a little bit at a time. A little bit. A little bit. Ooh, it's gooey. I don't know if it's gonna go in that hole or not. It seems to be going in pretty slow. And what I usually like to do is, even though I pour it in and it says about a few hours to let it harden depending on how much you're using, I typically like to wait until like the next day. So far I am not seeing any leakage, which is great. But I don't know if that actually means we're not going to get any leakage, or if it's just tricking me into thinking that it's fine, and then tomorrow we're gonna find that it wasn't. But that's okay. That's why we have the mat. And that is why we have the testing of this. I think it's full. Really hard to tell. I'm trying to get the bubbles out just in case. And I don't know, it's still kind of sucking it in there. I really wish you guys could see it, because even with a different angle of the camera, I don't think you're still going to get a clear shot of it. That's okay. Not a huge deal. I think it's full now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to tap it a little bit. Get the bubbles out. Okay, so we have a little bit of resin left. I don't know if you can see that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to lean it up against this thing. Just like this, you know, the real technical way of doing stuff. I'm going to pop over here real quick. I'm running away. It doesn't sound like it because I have my headphones in, but I bumped the table, as you see. And I'm going to get a mold, because I don't like to waste resin when I have the opportunity of using it. So, I don't know. Moon, stars, hearts. I think we're going to do stars. We'll do a star. I'll pour the rest of the resin into this little star mold. Star mold. Okay. I pour that into here. Just like this. Whoop. And pour it in this little spot right there. Bloop, bloop. And this one here. Bloop, bloop. And maybe one of the smaller ones. I don't know. Let's get the spatula. Right. All right. And now we wait. And while we wait, I will put this crap in my little bin behind me. Bloop. Bloop, bloop. I realize if I get hot water and soapy hot water right away, I can make sure that the resin doesn't stick to any of that stuff and it just doesn't get gross, even though it hardens. But when it's separate compounds, sometimes it can have that habit. So the only thing we're going to do now is basically clean up our mess. And like my little daughter used to sing when she was younger with Daniel Tiger, I won't put you guys through the torture of hearing my songs again. We're just going to let that harden and we will check on it tomorrow. I am going to grab it real quick just to see. So far, this is where we've taped the seam, and I am not seeing any oozy-goozy. There is the hole. Like I said, you guys cannot see it, and I am trying my best. I just tap the camera, see if it'll let me do it. There we go. See the little drip, drip, doop, loop? There it is. So, it looks like a weird snail shell. And we're going to put that up just where it was. This is what happens when I touch crap, and I should just leave it alone. It's gonna fall over. Okay. And we will let it sit overnight, and we will check on it tomorrow and see how it does.
The next day.
Okay, moment of truth. I see that it apparently leaked. I will zoom in for you and show you. Right there. It leaked a little. So we're gonna find out whether or not it's still got a duck in there. Ooh, ooh, look at that. Oh, I see where it leaked. It leaked like right there. You see it? Well, like I said, experimentation. Experimentation. I'm just gonna peel this off. All right. I mean, it's not the end of the world if it still kind of came out like it was supposed to. And it didn't! Look at all of the stuff leaked out. And all we got was his butt. We got his butt. Look at that. He has a butt. Oh my God. Oh my God. None of the other stuff worked. It like sealed it here, which is interesting. Like it tried to seal it. Like, which is just... And then the rest of it just said, bump you, I'm not doing it. And then obviously it's ripped even more right there now. So that's funny because I don't even think we can use the mold again. But I got a duck butt. So no face. But we do know that technically the mold worked because look at the duck butt. It's a duck butt. It almost came out exactly perfect too. Like there's a lump there because obviously that's where it started leaking. Like right there. And then, you know, it's just no face. So I think we'll just do a little camouflage situation for him and we're good to go. Maybe we should just try to put resin in the other side. And then we will have like the face and then we'll just put it together and it could be like a little puzzle. It's okay. This is why I test stuff. And it just didn't work this time.